In John 10, verses 1 to 6, Jesus talks about the sheep and the shepherd. And he says that there's a voice, that we know his voice. And so that's key. Part of our great quest in life is to know the voice of Jesus. And he says, they will by no means follow the voice of a stranger. They'll flee from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. I saw a YouTube clip not too long ago where a stranger went out to a field where there's all these sheep and started calling the sheep. And the sheep just turned their head and look at this person standing at the fence. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the person's just calling, here sheepy, or whatever they're saying. I don't know, remember what they're saying now, but they're calling the sheep. The sheep don't move. They just look. And then some of them go back to eating. The shepherd comes up and says, "Where's my girls?" And all of a sudden, all the sheep come running up to the fence. Have you seen this at all? It's profound because it really does illustrate that they know the shepherd's voice, and that's how we should be. It's our great quest in life to know the voice of the shepherd. In fact, in Revelation chapter 3, I think it's verse 20, he says, "I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and sup with him." He'll bring food, and it implies that we have food that he is looking for, so there's a meal that takes place. And we use that verse evangelistically. We always use it to get people to open their heart to receive Jesus, but it wasn't written to non-believers, it was written to a church. And so every day, Jesus knocks at your door. He's got bread to feed you spiritually, to nourish you. His whole heart is to nourish us, to make us to grow. So every day, Jesus knocks at your door and speaks, and you have to learn when it's him so that you can open the door. And he'll never kick the door down. He'll never barge in. He'll never just walk in, take over. He's a meek and mighty king. So you have to open the door to him. He'll come in and he has food. And he wants to feed you spiritually. And so you have to learn his knock and you have to learn his voice in order to receive his fellowship. And his fellowship is there to feed us. And he's a pastor who loves to feed his sheep. And so we have to learn to hear his voice. The people who learn the difference between his voice and the voice of another, they grow so much stronger, so much faster, so much better because his voice feeds us. Now, I remember even as a pastor, saying, "Lord, I don't think I really know your knock. What is the knocking part? Like, how do I know what a knock feels like or sounds like? What is the knocking part?" And I asked him that question. I left it with him. The next morning, he knocked, and I opened my eyes. And I said, "Now I know. Now I know what the knocking feels like. I know it was him that was knocking at my door." So now when I have that same sense, I need to step aside, stop all that I'm doing, and begin communing with him and fellowship with him, and it feeds me. But you have to learn his knock. You have to learn his voice. And if you do, fellowship will happen. And he wants to give us daily bread. I think this is a daily experience for us. Amen?